Hello and welcome to another Drive-In Double Feature. I'm Ryan,
I'm Nathan.
and this is the podcast where we talk about two movies a week every Tuesday and Thursday. But before I get anything at all, we have a Patreon over at patreon.com/Drive-In Double Feature Podcast. You know, Nathan, I was in Denmark the other day, and I
Really?
was
Wow.
just, yeah,
Mr.
I was,
Worldwide.
yeah, I just took a stroll to Denmark. Just,
Okay, yeah.
like I had like a nice little day trip there. It was nice.
hmm
Uh,
hmm
but anyway, um, I was looking at like this aquarium and there was this nice like reptilian exhibit there. And somebody was like, "Oh, wow, this is really amazing." I said, "Yeah." And they said, "It's not as amazing as Nathan and Ryan's podcast where they have
Wow.
their little Patreon over there where they talk about fun games, fun conversations, just general support for the podcast that makes me feel good at night, like knowing that we support them so much." Said, "Oh yeah, that sounds really good." And they said, "I hope Nathan and Ryan realize how much we support them." And I said, "I think they know," but I said that all
Yeah.
in Danish.
Oh, wow. You speak Danish? Can you show it off a little bit here?
Cheese, like a nice um cherry Danish, blueberry
Especially,
Danish.
those are always there waiting for you in the hotel breakfast bar. If they have free continental breakfast, they got a Danish sitting
I
somewhere.
gotta get a Danish that's just been taken right out of the freezer and been sitting there for hours.
That's my favorite.
But anyway, like I said, it does not affect any regular content, and it's only $5 a month. But today we are talking about 1961's Reptilicus, and the one we watched is directed by Sidney Pink, or also Whole Bang. So
Okay.
this movie is sort of like the original production of Dracula from 1931, where they actually filmed two different versions of the same movie, but just in different languages.
Gotcha. Okay.
So they use the same sets, same props, everything. But they could kind of bring in their own cast. So what happened was is there was like a complete Danish team that came in. They filmed their own movie, and then after that, Sidney Pink would come in, use the same sets, and had his own little team operation as well. So
hmm
um, supposedly, though, that the English language version was almost unwatchable, that they actually took Sidney Pink's version and alternate to make it watchable in order to
Oh,
make it
wow.
to be released. Um, this movie is probably like the this is the only Danish monster movie
Wow.
that's ever
Holy crap.
existed.
Gotcha. So
So
it's the worst and the best.
y- yeah, it holds that very
Mhm.
honorable distinction. But no, I picked this one just because we've talked about American monster movies, we've talked about Japanese one, we talked about a Chinese one even. So I just wanted to kind of just see like because like it just seems like really odd to have like European
Yeah.
monster movies. And I have heard of Reptilicus before, and I remember I was like, why have I heard this name before? And it's because they did cover this as like a Mystery Science Theater movie.
It has that written all over it now that I think about it.
Yeah, this was like for that new season that came out like a decade ago or
Oh, the
whatever.
Netflix one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
So yeah, it's I really I don't know. I was just kind of expecting like very run-of-the-mill monster movie, and you know what? That's pretty much what this is. It's nothing like I don't know. It's not a very exciting movie a lot of times.
hmm
Um, but it's I don't know. For me, it was a little comforting
Really? Okay.
because it was just like, okay, I know exactly how this movie is going to go almost, and it pretty much did. And
That is true.
that's kind of that's kind of what I like in some of these giant monster movies is I just want like a monster to come in. do a little destruction, and then by the end of it, everyone's happy. And that's kind of what this one is. But the characters in this one, though, like, oh man, like
They do
I
some
could
funny
not.
stuff. I'll say that though.
They they're not very good, but there's some like really dumb ones like for too.
Yeah.
Like I was surprised that like they like made like some like a lit like very light slapstick in this movie.
This movie has such an odd tone to it, just like throughout it, because there's one character who's like just extremely, extremely stupid, and that's the shtick. And like he mugs to the camera. There's like an electric eel in a tank, and he's like, "All the electricity went out, even the electric eel." And it's just like, it's stuff like that
Yeah.
that make this monster movie just like Reptilicus to me was actually just really bizarre. Like I know it goes along a lot of the same beats, but it still is just like a very odd movie. Like weird acting like that. All these special effects are horrible.
Oh yeah.
There's an ad for a theme park in the middle of it. This movie does some weird stuff.
It's very, very odd. Like I remember thinking that I'm like, is this just like an ad for this theme park? And
Yeah.
it kind of like for like a good 5 minutes, I want to say,
Mhm,
like where
mhm,
it's just like showing you like the sights and like
mhm.
what fun people are having at this like Danish theme park.
Yeah, which is still open to this day. It's Tivoli Gardens, and that's the song. There's a song that plays. It's like I don't even remember it, but she's like, "Oh, you'll have a great day at Tivoli," like singing, just basically promoting Denmark. It's weird. That's what the Americans do, because there's like an American general there to take care of Reptilicus, which we haven't even talked about yet. But we'll get into the theme park thing because why not? And he's like, "I hate being here. This is so boring." And then his intern's like, why don't we go in the town and enjoy it and enjoy and see the sights? And then it's him narrating. He's like, and I did. And you know what? It was fun. It's so weird. And then, yeah, it
The
does the
the the
travelogue
biggest the biggest sourpuss will just be enamored
at
with
Tivoli.
with Denmark after going to this one theme park.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean,
He,
this theme park
he,
has like the second oldest roller coaster in the world, I think. I've heard of this place before.
he like at the end of the scene, like he's got like a like I heart like Denmark like on his shirt, like instead of I heart NY or whatever.
Yeah,
Like
exactly. Like I'm Danish now. I'm getting my citizenship changed. Uh,
um
there is one little small bit of that. I love watching old movies, and anytime there's a shot of Japan or like Chinese architecture, and they show the Tivoli, I guess, as a Japanese garden, how the music changes to dun 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 dun. It's
because
just it's so awful.
that's just that's like the like to them that's like the national anthem for all of Asia.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. They were like, okay, it's Asia. Why don't we do their national anthem? Yeah, just put it in here.
That's all.
Yeah. But anyway, we
Um,
should get into the movie.
yeah. So basically, these workers are mining, and they have like this big giant drill, and then all of a sudden, just blood is all covered in their drill,
Hmm.
and they pull out the drill, and there's just like this really like meaty type of substance to it, and they pull out a giant reptile tail. And I thought that was kind of interesting, like how they started it at least, because it was
Mm.
like just it was blood. Like, you don't ever think of like they're going to be drilling underneath, and it's just like they hit a monster pretty much.
Yeah.
Um, but when they take this tail out, they do whatever they can to preserve this tail, and they keep it in this nice cold room. And like you said, like they hire this big doofus kind of guy, and like everyone's wearing lab coats and looking all smart and everything, and he just walks in with like looking like he just stepped off of a farm hand, like he's a farm hand or whatever. He's got like overalls and like a plaid shirt, and just is like,
It
hey,
was
I'm here to help. And
yeah, shakes all their hands and then yeah, and he's there and but he never does a good job of protecting.
no, well, like So what I was thinking was going to happen, because they did make a point to say, do not let this room get hot because it's going to
Mhm.
ruin the sample from the tail. Like we have to keep it cold at all times. And so I was thinking was going to happen. It's like, okay, so like this big idiot guy is going to like ruin it somehow. And that's what's going to happen. But no, what happens is it's like a scientist just he opens the door and he falls asleep.
Yeah, and then he ruins it. And this is I want to add that this all takes place at an aquarium, as they call it. It's just an aquarium. And I think it's funny that the lead guy at this aquarium, when you first see him entering there, he taps on all the windows, which is you should not do that. You don't do
Oh
that.
yeah.
And he goes up to the fish and he's like knocking on the window and
Oh
everything.
yeah, like yeah, and they're like does it's like a turtle or whatever, and the turtle's like, whoa, like
Yeah. Which is like if you run an aquarium, you should know. But yeah, that's probably his most notable feature because just like the other scientist who falls asleep, they don't have any personality aside from they're smart and
yeah.
they can understand where this monster came from because all they have is a part of the monster, and I guess the idea is that it regenerates, and that's why it's like an indestructible monster.
I thought it was funny because like they all knew like what the Latin name for like it's like, oh, it's Reptilicus, da 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 da, and it's like, oh, we'll just call it Reptilicus just to be safe. And then
Yeah.
and uh, and there was one person, it's like we found out it regenerates, and they have to like spell it out in this movie, like regeneration. Oh, it means it like regrows back its limbs, sort of like a starfish. It's just like people are like they didn't know, like they knew like the Latin word for it, but they didn't know what regeneration meant.
They're like well, people are too stupid. People were stupid enough to buy a ticket to this movie, so let's talk down to them really quickly. I'm
Maybe.
just kidding. It is an American International picture though, which is always a seal of quality.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that why they said it was like unwatchable is that Sydney Pink, like they said like the Danish version is like a really top notch. Like, they
Really?
were like, I mean, I don't know like the actual quality of the movie, but it was just filmed very well. But like they said, like when Sydney Pink like turned in his when they turned in his work, it was like I said, it was virtually unreleasable.
Wow.
And then basically like a screenwriter had to come in and like redo the dialogue. They had to show like Reptilicus, like they had to add in special effects to Reptilicus. Um, and I guess Sydney Pink was like using like Danish actors, but they all had like really thick Danish accents.
Oh no.
So so they had to like go back in and like dub over a lot of them. And like the screenwriter I said, I guess it was such a like a cheap budget, like he did a lot of the dubbing
Oh
himself.
wow. Oh my God. That
And
Jesus.
yeah. And apparently like Sidney Pink was so furious like he actually like put up a lawsuit against them as well.
Mhm.
But I guess they said like once the studio heads and Sidney Pink like saw like their version of Sidney Pink's movie, that the lawsuit was then dropped. So I guess even
Really?
he like admitted like it was a better
That was
version than his.
Yeah, like, oh, I may have actually made a bad movie. That's really interesting that he would concede like that. It must have actually been rough. Yeah, it's anytime we talk about movies like this, kind of like Hot Dog, um, where we hear about these unwatchable cuts of movies. I just want to watch the unwatchable cut.
Uh,
That just makes me want to watch it more.
well, I mean, what was it when we were talking about the one I always go back to think to is Joe, where
Yeah.
it's like, hey Nathan, like how would you feel about like a 3 hour version of this movie? And you're just like, what the hell?
Yeah. I hear about these things and I'm like, I wish they would keep it rather than hide it. And so I know they had back then they had no idea of like DVD releases,
Special
bonus
features, yeah,
features, but like I would love to see something like that.
sure,
But we'll never see that for Reptilicus. Instead, we just see this version, which I guess is the better version.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
Well,
I
so they do eventually like the tail does eventually grow into a huge monster, and it's a very serpent-like monster where it's just kind of slithering around Denmark.
Hmm.
and it's very clearly just like a puppet on a string, and it's just like woo, and it's just like going through like up and down like the roads and like going up buildings and stuff.
Yeah, it kind of feels like a kid almost playing with like toys is the way I feel
Hmm.
about it. Like it looks fake, and it moves around like a puppet, and then like it shoots like this neon green slime, and that
Hmm.
reminds me of like a kid. It's almost like childish in a way, not like in like well, honestly, I didn't love it, but you know, like it's interesting. And all of the special effects are pretty poor. Like you can tell it was a very cheap movie. Like they blue screen in people getting eaten, and you can clearly see that it's like blue screened, almost like a paper cutout.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like they cut the person out of the frame and just like just glued it into like the front like into a like a different scene.
Yeah, and there's like some type of ingenuity to that, I guess that's interesting, but it's crazy that like Godzilla and movies like that were doing way better stuff than this.
I mean, I feel like I would have rather have just seen like a little stick figure,
Oh
like a
yeah.
little like figurine or whatever, like going into its mouth. It would have been more appealing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's hard not to at least admire, like, you could tell like the budget in this movie is very small.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
not like they are working really hard with what they have.
Hmm.
I I think that they really were able to pull off a lot though with what they could. I mean, there are some dumb moments like Reptilicus's roar. It's just like it, it sounds like a woman screaming.
Yeah, it's really odd. Like they just found like a sound effect and put it in there almost. They couldn't what? They couldn't get a cello and a rubber glove? Come on.
You know, well, it was a leather glove covered in resin, Nathan.
Oh, sorry. My bad, my bad. Well, then it would have sounded different.
Well, yeah, I guess if you got a rubber glove with a cello, yeah, I would.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe just like just someone playing a cello. There we go. It sounds very beautiful.
Um, but yeah, it's there's not really a whole lot to it. I mean, honestly, I mean, it's pretty much like what you would expect. I mean, like the main character of this movie is General Grayson, where it's just basically like they get like this American general and he's over in Denmark, and basically like he's the only smart one, since it's an American movie, like he's the one that has to get the job done because these Danish people, they just want to talk about science and everything. They don't have like a real military like the American one.
Exactly. And they talk about dropping bombs and they're like, "No, no, we can't drop bombs," and like all that. But yeah, he's like the star, and the movie does not do a really good job of integrating him into it. Like, it's obviously they shot him in a field with a vehicle and a couple women, and then the Reptilicus stuff doesn't even feel like it's like happening anywhere near what they're doing. It's a lot of them driving around and Grayson like yelling or talking, and these two like Danish women that hang out with him.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, so it's like the main old dude scientist, he has like a daughter or whatever, and they're like, oh, I wouldn't expect like a woman such as yourself to
That's
be
right.
involved in the field of science.
Yeah, and she's like offended. And then like doesn't he just go, "Oh, I'm sorry. I don't see a lot of beautiful women," or something like that. She's like, "Oh, sorry. Sorry I got
Yeah.
offended."
And I wasn't there one that was like he was like afraid, like he didn't want like his daughter around a bunch of men or something like that. And
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
and just really odd things is this movie is like it's sort of by the books, but it isn't too at the same time because like you said, it has like a lot of those weird moments in there, just pulled from different genres.
Yeah, I think it's more towards the end, like the last 45, 30 minutes, where it really hits those normal beats of just seeing the monster in the town destroying and then the military trying to take him out. Little violence. I think maybe that's when it becomes more of like I know what's happening. And also the overall plot, we get it. Monster gets dug up, monster comes to life, destroys, and then we try to figure out how to take it down. Simple stuff.
Yeah, I mean, And of course, like the big hero of the movie is of course General Grayson, where he has to pull out a bazooka and he shoots the monster with it,
Yeah. Uh,
and and it looks really bad too.
oh
He
yeah,
gets
but no,
shot.
all like just all the special effects are pretty bad. I feel bad complaining about the special effects for this movie though. I don't know what it is. Because you
I
could just tell how that it just wasn't made for much, and it was a different time.
yeah, I agree. I thought it was I thought it was a good I, it was a good attempt. You know, it's nothing special, but you could tell like they were trying to make a good movie. They were trying to
Yeah.
make a really fun special movie. And I still think it's really cool, despite all of that. It is still like technically like the only giant monster movie Denmark has ever made.
Hmm.
And because of that, this movie does have a bit of a cult following to it
Oh really?
because it's so like in Denmark, it's kind of like a celebrated movie.
Oh shit! No. I'm about to piss off all of all of Denmark. They're watching this in the Lego factory like every week or whatever. Because that's what they have there, right? That's Denmark. Denmark's the
Is that?
Lego country. My phone
Is it?
died, so I can't. I'm out. I can't even look it up.
Nathan, you didn't charge your phone before the podcast?
No, I know I should have. So so I could text instead of watch.
Listening to me.
Uh-huh. Oh, he's talking about a damn monster movie again.
That's what you normally do. I get it. Um, but no, I don't want to rag on it too much, but it's not a great movie. It's a little boring. It's pretty slow in some parts actually, and the special effects are not very good, but it has a little bit of a charm to it, I feel, where I got a kick out of it. It was nice seeing. And one thing I thought was pretty bold is like at the very end, Reptilicus like gets in the water, and they actually use depth charges, and
Yep.
it blows him up. And you think like, oh, that's the end of the movie, but then you see Reptilicus's legs underneath the water, and they start moving, and you're just like, oh, it's just like it's gonna just start all over again.
Yep, yep.
And they're just like, oh, we're getting a whole Reptilicus franchise out of this thing, and
Did
nope,
we?
that was it.
No. Garbage. We could have gone through all 30 Reptilicus movies. It's like the same Godzilla arc.
Yeah, just can you imagine if they're just like, we love Reptilic, and they just like they made like like one a year for like the next like 50 years.
That would be crazy. Reptilicus might be in a different place then. But no, personally, I wasn't a big fan of this one. I thought it was a bit of a stinker. I can say I at least appreciate it and I understand enjoying it, especially if you're Danish and like this is the only monster movie you got. That's kind of cool. That's something to celebrate, right? Um, I didn't hate it or anything. I just felt like
Hmm.
towards the end, maybe it was just a little tired, but it at least gave me some laughs. I thought like some bits are funny. Like I legitimately laughed when he started knocking on the fish tanks. There's just something about that I thought was just goofy. So I mean,
I do remember in that scene too being like, what are you doing?
yeah, it was so surprising. So, but no, I personally, I would not give it a recommend. But I'm not the monster movie guy. That's Ryan. So I would say I trust your opinion a bit more.
All right. Well, yeah, I would give it. I'm biased, so don't take my word for it. But I probably overall, if somebody asked, I probably would say, yeah, you don't really need to see it.
Mhm.
But as a monster movie fan, there was enough in there to keep me interested till the end of the credits.
That's what it's all
But
about.
that's it. But we'll see where our journey takes us next to. But that's going to do it for today. So, Nathan, why don't you tell me what we're going to be talking about next time?
All right, Ryan. I feel like I haven't done anything sci-fi in a while. Not since Final Fantasy
Oh, Lord.
Spirits Within. But no, we are going to go back to the 90s and we're going to be talking about Circuitry Man from 1990. Uh, yeah, so
That can't wait. I've been thinking about that one all week,
I'm sure
actually.
you have. But Ryan, what are we covering on Thursday?
Well, Nathan, we're gonna be this might dox us, Nathan, but we're in Florida,
Okay, yeah.
and you know what our number one thing that Florida is known for?
Hmm. I don't know. I don't know. The Gators?
You're right, Gators.
Wait, I saw the poster. That's why I had Gators on the mind. I
So
ruined it. I ruined it.
you ruined it. I don't even want picking a new movie. No, we're gonna be talking about 1980s Alligator, and that is streaming on Tubi right now.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to watch that one.
Perfect. Well, if you have any thoughts and opinions, please email us over at driveanddoublepodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/driveanddoublepodcast. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel at Drive and Double Feature Podcast. But until next time.
Until next time.